Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavangsha Sri Rupam Chakrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanitanscha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaurata Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaurata Vrinda.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so we'll now be having the Bhagavad Gita class. We're reading from chapter 3, text 26. Jaya Rad Amadava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Rad Amadava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Jnana Tirmiyandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakchurun Militanyena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitanyena Bhutaye Swayam Rupa Kadadmayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandiham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunath Tam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadavatam Savadhutam Parijana Krishnam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamsha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Haripriye. Vancha Kalpa Tarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Jnana Tirmiyandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakchurun Militanyena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutaye Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Brahmacharya Desatarne. So we'll just ask for the Lord's blessings also. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we're reading from chapter 3, text 26. So we'll start with the Sanskrit recitation. Na buddhi bedam janeyed ajanam karma sanginam joseyet sarva karmani vidvan yukta samacharan. Na buddhi bedam janeyed ajnanam karma sanginam joseyet sarva karmani vidvan yukta samacharan. Na buddhi bedam janeyed ajnanam karma sanginam josayat sarva karmani vidvan yukta samacharan. So the translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Okay. So as not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men attached to the fruitive results of prescribed duties, a learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. So as not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men attached to the fruitive results of prescribed duties, a learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. Vedas cha sarver aham eva vedya. So this is from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, text 15. So this verse speaks about the super soul is within the heart of all living entities. It speaks about the Vedas, and so this is saying that it's Krishna who's explaining that by the Vedas he is to be known. So basically, it's saying that within all the knowledge that's contained within the Vedic literature, its actual role is so that we can actually know Krishna. So it's said in the scriptures, a golden rule. I'm not sure if anyone can tell me what the golden rule is. If you have ever heard of it before. Yeah. Okay, so the golden rule is to always remember Krishna and to never forget Krishna. So we'll continue reading here. That is the end of all Vedic rituals, all performances of sacrifices, and everything that is put into the Vedas, including all direction for material activities, are meant to understand Krishna, who is the ultimate goal of life. Because the conditioned souls do not know anything beyond sense gratification, they study the Vedas to that end. But through fruitive activities and sense gratification regulated by the Vedic rituals, one is gradually elevated to Krishna consciousness. Therefore, a realized soul in Krishna consciousness should not disturb others in their activities or understanding, but he should act by showing how the results of all work can be dedicated to the service of Krishna. The learned Krishna conscious person may act in such a way that the ignorant person working for sense gratification may learn how to act and how to behave. Although the ignorant man is not to be disturbed in his activities, a slightly developed Krishna conscious person may directly be engaged in the service of the Lord without waiting for other Vedic formulas. For this fortunate man, there is no need to follow Vedic rituals, because by direct Krishna consciousness, one can have all the results one would otherwise derive from following one's prescribed duties. So it's mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, later in the Bhagavad Gita, it's mentioned that there's three things that should never be given up. And these are sacrifice, austerities, and charity. So we should always actually engage in sacrifice, charities, and austerity, in giving charity. So if someone is like very wealthy, has so many material opulence, they have so much realizations, they have so many gifts. These are all, temporary. As soon as they actually, they become satisfied, they think I have it made now. I can just relax. Then it won't be sustainable. So all these different Vedic, the way the Vedas are structured, the different Vedic rules and regulations, they're all meant to actually elevate our consciousness. So this is the way that actually Vyasadeva, he wrote the Vedas with this in mind, is that people in this world, and especially for Kali Yuga, they're very much disturbed in their minds, attached to material opulence and so on like that. So Vyasadeva, with this in mind, he actually made the Vedas in such a way as like a concession to the fallen conditioned souls, whereby they can actually, engage in material activities and then give the results to Krishna and thereby elevate their consciousness. But the problem is that so many people, they get lost in the Vedas. They don't know who is the supreme. They think this demigod is the supreme, and they think that demigod is the supreme. So this is the way of actual the Vedic literature, is that they don't know. Many people, they have different conceptions of the supreme. But those who are actually learned in Vedic literature, and they realize that the ultimate goal of Vedic literature, so they have attained realization that is actually Lord Sri Krishna, who is the goal of everything, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in terms of sacrifice and austerities, in this day and age, in Kali Yuga, Lord Chaitanya, he has given us even more concession, is that he has given us the holy name, the Sankirtan movement. So this is not an ordinary name, it's the Lord's holy name, the Maha Mantra. So this is the process for this age. Lord Chaitanya, he's known as the Yuga Avatar. So what the Yuga Avatar does is that he spread the Yuga Dharma. And this Yuga Dharma is a chanting of the Lord's name. So this is the Maha Mantra. I'm not maybe you've heard of it before. I'm sure you have heard of it before, which is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is the means of sacrifice in this day and age. So it's described in the purport, in the translation, ignorant men who are attached to fruitive activities. So this is actually the majority of civilization. But even the majority of civilization actually is not at that actual standard, actually, because Vedic literature, these fruitive activities are prescribed in the Vedic literature. So actually, this is actually a good place to be. But the thing is that, gradually you will get realization. But in Krishna consciousness, Srila Prabhupada, the previous acharyas, they've given us the process. They've explained the Vedas to us in a very succinct way. Is that instead of actually gradually, trying to make progress and the chance of becoming completely lost on the path. All these different authorities of Vedic literature have clearly identified Lord Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we can take it on their good example, on their authority. For example, if you're going to get a degree, study, would you just speculate and say you know it all, give your own interpretation? Because this is the same equivalent, is that by actually taking the instruction of the teacher, then things are much more simplified. We can save ourselves from so much hassle, unnecessary toiling. Because for those who actually engage in yogic meditation, there's it's mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, what's described as meditation on the Lord's impersonal aspect, is that this is very difficult, and very troublesome. So by actually taking to the process recommended by the acharyas, and chanting, so that is the process. So the difficulty is that by actually chanting the holy name, it's not, there's a certain process. So this is the way we can actually become conscious of Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada mentions first become conscious, then become Krishna conscious. So it's mentioned in the Vedas for elevation of consciousness, the Varnashram system. So this takes into account the conditionings of each individual. So every living entity is conditioned by what's called the three modes of material nature in varying degrees. And this is the process mentioned in scriptures, whereby one can actually gradually and comfortably elevate their consciousness. So there's four types of people, four types of men mentioned in society, and these are always in society. They don't change. So we all fit into these categories, and this is so we can actually comfortably execute devotional service. But another point is that we have to be actually careful, because in the path of devotional service, even before, when we start to actually chant the holy name, we have to be careful, because the holy name is very sacred, and it can lead to offenses. So every morning in the morning program, just to remind us, we read these 10 offenses. So I'll just go through these 10 offenses so we can get an idea. So there are 10 offenses to be avoided in the matter of chanting the holy names of the Lord, and they are as follows. So 1, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy names of the Lord. So those who've actually dedicated themselves in Krishna's service, they become dear to Krishna, and so we have to be careful that we don't unnecessarily commit offenses to these devotees. And so every morning we say, we actually pay our obeisances to these devotees. We say, Vancha kalpa tarubhischa kripa sindhu bhevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So we offer our respects to the devotees of the Lord, Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki, Sitaram Laxman Hanuman ki, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki, Jai. So we offer our respects to the devotees of the Lord, who we say are just like desire trees. So it's by these devotees' mercy, the mercy of the devotees, whereby we can actually receive that sacred knowledge. So it's not such a cheap thing actually. So, and to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the names of Lord Vishnu. So we shouldn't. Sorry. So we. Sorry. Hello. Sorry. Hello. Sorry. I just have to. Thanks. So it's these demigods. So it's Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. So it's that we only take one Lord as the supreme. This is Lord Krishna. So these other demigods, it's like in a government, for example, you have the king or prime minister. So this is the supreme, an example of an analogy. The supreme Lord is like the king or the prime minister, and the different governmental heads, for example, it's like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. So these are simply just servants of the Supreme Lord. So although they're very exalted, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, they're not to be taken as the supreme. So the next offense to be avoided is to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. So this is a very important one. It's the spiritual master who gives us the mercy. So it's only by his grace we can receive transcendental knowledge. It's mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, text 34. So that we should actually render service and acquire submissively, because the spiritual master is someone who has actually realized in transcendental knowledge, and it said that they have seen the truth, and thereby they can impart knowledge onto others. So the spiritual master is his instructions, his words are the devotee's life and soul. With his instructions come empowerment. It said that every instruction the spiritual master gives comes with the ability to fulfill that instruction. So by following the instructions of the spiritual master, this is how we can please Krishna also, because the spiritual master is also a servant of his spiritual master. And Krishna is so kind. He likes to see his devotee, to give respect to his devotee. And the spiritual master is considered a very confidential devotee of Krishna, because he's actually imparting that knowledge. So he's executing the will of Krishna ultimately by being the servant of the servant and following his own spiritual master. So that is our goal, to become servants of the servant of the servant. So we say Trinadapi Sunishena Tarorapi Sahishnuna. So we say that we should be more tolerant than the tree, more humble than the blade of grass. For example, the blade of grass is stood on, it doesn't complain, but it will still get back up. And the tree, it tolerates the elements, the wind, rain, hail, and so on like that. So it's very, very important, to practice that humility, to try and cultivate that, and to have this when approaching a spiritual master. So then, number 4, to blaspheme the Vedic literatures or literatures in pursuance of the Vedic version. So this one can be very widely interpreted. So what is in pursuance of the Vedic version? So the Vedic literatures and other literatures which will actually are meant to lead others to actually develop love for God, like the Bible, the Quran, and so on, is help us to awaken love for God. So we shouldn't just blaspheme these scriptures. These are ultimately delivered by the Lord for the benefit of humanity, and they're sacred texts. So we have to respect all literatures, all that are in pursuance of the Vedic version. And to consider the glories, number 5, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be in imagination. So if one chants Hare Krishna, they shouldn't just consider all this to be, simply imagination. They should take it as something serious, sacred, and have utmost respect. And to give some interpretation on the holy names of the Lord. So it's not for us to actually, to interpret the names of the Lord, to say that by chanting the names of the Lord, this and this will happen, and so on. So we have to, chant sincerely, but not to actually give an alternate version of what chanting is. So the meaning of chanting the Maha Mantra. Does anybody? I'm just going to ask if anyone knows the meaning of what it means to chant the Maha Mantra, to chant Hare Krishna. Yeah. So yes, Ru. Thank you, Boo. Yeah. Yes, so not to think that it's mundane. So when we chant the holy name of the Lord, it's a prayer. We're calling out to the Lord, and to the Lord's energies. Energy of the Lord, please engage me in your devotional service. So when we chant, we're praying to be engaged in devotional service, and this is an eternal prayer, that we're eternally servants of the Lord, and chanting is considered an eternal pastime. So that's it. To my dear Lord, please engage me in your devotional service. I wonder if there's any questions so far. Yeah. Okay. So, number 7, to commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy names of the Lord. So, an example of this is, it's mentioned, about chanting the holy name of the Lord. If one thinks, by chanting the Lord's name, so and so will happen, that I'm safe. I'm chanting the Lord's name, so now I'm protected. So if one has this mentality, and then they decide that they can actually, I can just, I can do this and some sinful activity, and then by chanting the holy name of the Lord, I'll do an extra round, and this will actually rectify the situation. So this is considered very offensive. So we shouldn't just think that we can manipulate things in that way. And number 8, to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas as fruit of activities, karma kanda. So this is what's mentioned in today's verse, that we shouldn't think chanting Hare Krishna is something that will give us material benefit. It's not that I chant Hare Krishna and I can have a big house, nice car, and so on like that. So yeah, this is another offense that we should be cautious about. That our goal is to become what's called unalloyed devotees, is that we're unmotivated, are only hopefully by the spiritual master's mercy and continuous chanting, that we can become purified over time and have no other desire ultimately than to actually serve. So number 9, to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. So someone who has no faith in Krishna consciousness, and one who has more realizations about the holy name, they shouldn't be just speaking about the glories of the holy name, because they can easily commit offense as well. But Lord Chaitanya does say there are no hard and fast rules also for chanting the holy name of the Lord. But also His Holiness Sachinanda Maharaj, he mentions that this one also applies to gurus, that to instruct a faithless person, that this is actually to give them initiation into the chanting of the holy name if they're faithless. So this is one also for the guru. And number 10, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names, and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. So it's to when we understand the instructions of the spiritual master, so we should always look to become purified, look to gradually delve away from material activities rather than engage in more and more material activities. So, and it is also an offense to be inattentive whilst chanting. So this is the most difficult one for all of us, I'm sure, is that when we chant, the mind is compared in the Gita to like the wind. So Arjuna says this about the mind. So we can't be expected to be to have full attention at the beginning. So it's said that we should ultimately try and chant all the time as much as possible. And the more we chant, the more we'll become purified, the more then that will gradually be able to become more attentive. And if the mind is distracted while we're chanting, just ignore the mind and keep chanting. And that's the process. Just keep chanting, and this is the process. All that we can do to gradually refine our consciousness and refine our mind into a deeper meditation. So that's the 10 offenses to the holy name. So these are the 10 offenses that anyone who chants, they should always be aware of and mindful. And so before we chant the holy name of the Lord, also we say a prayer to Lord Chaitanya and his associates, because they're very merciful. So they can actually take away offenses or give us their mercy as well to make us more effective in our chanting. So this is the Panchatattva who are just here. these 5 personalities, which is Lord Chaitanya himself, who is Krishna, and he is Lord Shri Krishna with the golden complexion of Srimati Radharani and the mind of Srimati Radharani in the guise of a devotee. So Lord Chaitanya is here to experience what a devotee experiences for Krishna. And so Lord Chaitanya was here, and he inaugurated the Sankirtan movement and the chanting of the Lord's holy name. So this mantra that we chant before each round, it is Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta. So these are called the Pancha Tattva. So they are the Lord's 5 associates. So we still have some time left. There's something I'd like to share also. I was just listening to a lecture by His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, and it was very interesting actually that he was speaking about how in Mumbai that it's very academically it's very intense in the universities, and to pass in many universities they have to get very high marks. And he was speaking about 2 devotee students, and one devotee said, okay, my exams are coming up, so I'm just going to focus now, and I'm not just going to put aside my bead bag. I'm not going to chant for a few months, so I can just focus on my exams. And then this other student, he thought, okay, I'm just going to just leave it to Krishna, depend on Krishna. I'm going to chant extra rounds, and he chanted extra rounds. I can't remember the exact amount, but this is the situation. So the other devotee, he who is putting extra time in studying, he actually, I'm not sure if he passed, or I think he may have actually even failed his exams. And the devotee who put in the extra time in chanting, he not just passed his exams, but he got the highest in the whole university. I'm not sure if in the whole of India or not, but the whole university. So it goes to show that it's not that the chanting will give us extra intelligence or so on like that, but the thing is that chanting works in such a way that the nature of this world is that in every situation, as I mentioned earlier, the golden rule is always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. So that's the golden rule. So every situation in life is that we can think of this as a way to become more reliant on Krishna. And so because Krishna is orchestrating everything, it's his sanction, so he will give the results accordingly to our endeavor. He's looking at how attentive are we of him, so he will give us what is necessary to help us remember. It's not that chanting necessarily gives us a high IQ, but it's the point is that in every situation, can we think, no, this can be a motivation for me to chant, to rely on Krishna more and more. So that's the goal. The goal of life is to become Krishna conscious. Srila Prabhupada said, first become conscious, then become Krishna conscious. So this is another thing I want to mention, is that to become conscious is that everything actually affects our japa, our chanting. So our whole routine, what we do. For example, if we see everything in relation to Krishna if we see like a tap flowing water and we don't turn it off, we don't see it in relation to Krishna, that this is Krishna's energy and things like this. So it's about being attentive to everything in relation to Krishna. For example, I just happened to notice during the week that there's chewing gum outside on the pavement. So these are the new pavement that was put in. So I'm thinking that, you know, if, for example, if we do that, put chewing gum on Krishna's, so this is Krishna's house, it's his temple. So, you know, we have to, if we're being conscious of Krishna, we're not going to, you know, put chewing gum on his floor. So it's just another example that came to mind, is that to actually become conscious of Krishna, we have to actually think of Krishna's, his what will actually make him happy. So that's the goal, that we can think more and more, how can I serve Krishna? Just like that. So we'll have Gaura Arti at 7 o'clock. Before we finish, I wonder if there's any more questions or any questions. Yeah. Okay, so just before we finish, we'll maybe if everyone could please join me, and we'll chant a round of the Maha Mantra. So I'm not sure if you all know it. So, okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And one more. Sorry. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay. Thank you very much. So Bhagavad Gita ki jai, and thank you very much for being so attentive. And we'll have Gaura Arti now, and then after Gaura Arti, there's going to be Mahaprasadam, which will be served in the Haveli. Okay, and Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you.
आप गाएंगे आप गाएंगे क्या गाएंगे नहीं आप गाएंगे ना ये हमारा बच्चा है ना छोटा वही गाएगा सब वो प्रभु है ना वो आएगा ना मेरा वाला है ना वो आ गया कल नहीं वो बोलता था कि उसके ताल में लगा वो आ गया किया राजभोग में किया राजभोग आपने किया
कहाँ
इधर
शाम को
नहीं दोपहर में राजभोग आती है मैंने की
कौन सी आरती कहाँ गई?
राजभोग मतलब 12:30 बजे
वो कौन सा गाना गाया?
हरे कृष्ण
अच्छा शिव हरे कृष्ण।
नमो विष्णु बताया ऐसे
Hare Krishna. Can you hear? The mic okay? Can you hear?
Could you ask them to
Yeah.
gap down the middle so they are abundant to your duties?
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. We are going to have the Gaur Arati now. Can you please leave a space in the middle so that we can see Srila Prabhupada? And can you please put all the cushions away? Thank you. Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ji ki Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Jiva Jayo Jayo Gaura Chande Arati ko Shobha. Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta Chaitanya Nityananda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare We are going to sing the Gauravani. Please, can you all bow down? Thank you. Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Vajakacharya Stota Sachiman Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj ki Jai. ISKCON Family Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shyam Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Mayapur Dham ki Jagannath Puri Dham ki Ayodhya Puri Dham ki Mathura Puri Dham ki Navdeep Dham ki Ganga Mai ki Jamuna Mai ki Bhakti Devi ki, Tulsi Devi ki, Prihat Mridanga ki, Transcendental Book Distribution ki, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki, Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrind ki, Sama Bhakta Vedavind ki, ISKCON Vartaman Guru Vrind ki, Gau Mata ki, Gaura Premanandi, all Gurus assembled devotees, all Gurus assembled devotees, all Gurus assembled devotees, all Gurus to Gurus and Gauranga, all Gurus to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Everybody sit down 5 minutes. Everybody sit down 5 minutes.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, can you all please sit down? We are going to sing the Nashinga Aarti now for our protections. Thank you.
Namaste Narasimha. Namaste Narasimha. Kalada Radha Daine. Kalada Radha Daine. Hiranya Kashipu Vaksha. Shri prapade tava kar kamala vare nakama bhuta singha dalita hiranya kashipu tanu ringa keshavadita nara hare rupa jai jagadish hare jaya jagadish hare jai jagadish hare Tavakara kamala vare rama bhuta singha dalita hiranya kashipu tanu ringa keshavadita nara hare rupa Jaya Nara Hari, Nara Hare, Nara Hare, Jaya Nara Hare. Jaya Bhakta Prahlad, Bhakta Prahlad, Bhakta Prahlad, Jaya Bhakta Prahlad. Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. श्री नृसिंहदेव भगवान की भक्त प्रहलाद महाराज की श्री श्री राधा गोकुल नंद की श्री सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान की श्री निताय गौर हरि की श्री प्रभुपाद की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you all so much for attending the evening program here at Bhaktivedanta Manor. The next darshan will be at 9 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. That'll be the last darshan of the day. And now they'll be serving Mahaprasad and reception. Once again, thank you very much for attending. Hare Krishna. Oh, sir. You're better than me. Huh? So am I.
Thanks for the Madanga playing, son. Thanks for the Madanga playing. Good job. Thank you, Madanga player. Thank you very much. What's your name? Buddha.
You're singing that. It's more like my voice. I'm singing it in my voice. But that's I think I sing, yeah, I think I sing. I heard it like that.
Already are one. Okay? Really is.
Is there a program going on in the ring or something?
I'm not sure.
We'll be this weekend, lots of it. Haribol. Thank you. It's only a doorbell. It's literally the purpose it serves. Vanished off to again. Yeah. Do you know where it is?